working. So good evening, everybody. I'm super excited for this Zoom tonight. We have Sam Bowers on with us. I always get confused, like what part of your name and then your Facebook name switched. And so I was like, okay, good. I actually know what I'm supposed to call her now because I can't ever remember which one goes first and all the things, you know what I mean? So super excited for this tonight. Sam, if you can just introduce yourself and just tell a little bit about your story, like how long you've been in, how you got started and all that good stuff.
Yes, I would love to. So I'm Sam. I've been with It Works. It'll be 9 years in March. I'm a presidential diamond out of Pennsylvania. And I started with It Works back in 2015, basically because we were fighting so badly about money that I knew that something needed to change. I went to bed one night, it was March 31st exactly, and I prayed to God for a sign, basically to get us out of debt, to kind of save our marriage. We were fighting that bad about money. And I just was like, you know what, God, like, give me something, just show me something. And no lie, 2 minutes later, my enroller got in my inbox for the 100th time, right? Like we all had those people that were like 20 messages in the blue. That was me. So she had been following up with me for over a year, and it took that one last message, and I took that as a God wink of him saying, you know what, this business has been at your fingertips for how long now? You've just not pulled the trigger, and this is your sign. So when I joined back then, I just wanted to make enough to cover the in-between things. Our son was in preschool. We could barely afford that bill. I was working as a full-time restaurant manager. My husband was in produce sales, and we actually worked like opposite shifts. He would come home from work and I would leave. We had 3 kids at the time, and it was literally just handing off kids to each other. Like I would run out the door as he's coming in, and it just got to be exhausting. And I knew that that's not the way that we're supposed to live our lives. Like we're supposed to have time for our spouses, time for our children, but also not have to worry about finances, right? So I took It Works as the vehicle to take me from just making a couple hundred extra dollars to allowing me to not only quit a job that I absolutely hated. I was able to bring my husband home full time in 2021 when the rest of the world was barely clinging by. And he was home for a little over 2 years. He actually just went back to work part-time for fun for his buddy, but it's been an incredible journey just to be able to make the rules in our lives. We don't have to have bosses. We don't have to have a schedule. We don't have to have anybody telling us where to show up or when to show up and what to do. We've been able to travel. We've been able to buy our dream home, pay for our vehicles in cash, just the things that you see people doing on social media and you're like, there is no way that they're doing this. And I just learned with this business that if you're willing to put the time in and you're willing to truly treat this like the business that it is, you're going to be able to make the money. You just have to make that decision that you're going to go for it. And not just treat it like the spare time gig that you do when you have time. You have to make time for this. And that's what I've done for almost 9 years now. And it's just been an incredible, incredible life-changing thing.
I love it. Well, and I know like even when I first got started, the whole thing was, bring your spouse home and different things. And it's amazing, but then it's even more incredible when they get to find something that they're passionate about and, get that tied in. So I love that he gets to go and do that just because he wants to. So one thing that you mentioned is obviously time and putting in the time. And one of the questions when I was asking some leaders, what do you want to know, all the things, but one of the questions was, what does her day look like? What is that time that you're talking about that you put in? What kinds of things are you doing daily?
So I will preface this with no one is perfect, and I try to do this as much as I can, but not every day is the same. And there are days where I do have to give myself grace. I'm a mom of 4 now. So our oldest is 18, our 2 middles are 12 and 10, and our youngest will be 5 in January. So it's like this crazy, we're never in the same place, same time. They're all in sports, competitive dance. So sometimes I really do have to give myself grace that I am a full-time mom and I'm a full-time business owner and I'm a wife. So when it comes to my business, I have non-negotiables that I make sure that I do every day. And I preach this on my team. There are going to be days when you can't get every single thing done, but if you focus on the things that you know are income producing, you're still going to be moving yourself forward. So for me personally, I'm host to post through and through. I went host to post on Facebook, I went presidential on Facebook with host to post. Actually went It took me 2 years to go diamond and double. I didn't promote to those ranks till 2017. But I did it through host to host. And then in 2018 is when I promoted to triple diamond the month after, sorry, 2 months after we found out that we were pregnant with our fourth. And then I went presidential diamond 6 months after that, all on host to post, all on Facebook. I found a post that worked and I got as many people to post it as I possibly could. It was all cleansed host to post back then. But if you know a post works, if you know it's going to get comments, keep getting people to post it. And even if you have to get 10, 15, my goal is a little bit higher than this, you guys, but I'm going ambassador right now, 20 people to post a day and you get 2 comments per post average. That is anywhere from 20 to 40 new potentials every single day. So don't look at a host post as every single post that people put up for you need to get like 10, 50 comments, right? Like sometimes we look at a host post and we're like, oh my gosh, this person only got 3 comments. That is 3 brand new people that you didn't have before that person posted for you. So it truly is a numbers game, and host to post is a big deal for us. And then the other one is, for me personally, is reels. Not a shocker. I know that that is the way to grow your network. I know that that's the way to get the most exposure out of this business. And I do them on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. As far as what I do every day, I do follow a task list as best as I can. Usually I always get my morning list done because it's kind of like when you're like eating really well, you eat really well in the morning. And then as the day goes on, like you find the chocolate, you find the cereal. So for me, I make sure that my most important tasks are in the beginning of my day. So that way, if the day does get off track, if a kid has, a sporting event, or my husband's super needy, like, life happens, I at least know that I got the right things done earlier in the day. So Erin, I can send this to you too, but it's a shift list: morning, afternoon, evening. My goal is I try and get up super early and get the morning done. We are a 5:30 in the morning power hour team. But I know that in that hour, I'm able to get that AM done uninterrupted before my kids are up, before my husband is up. Afternoon, my youngest is in preschool, so I try and get my afternoon done around lunchtime before I go pick her up at 1. And then the evening stuff, there are things that I can do while sitting on the couch. We're really into baseball right now, so we're watching the Phillies tonight, and I was able to sit and watch the Phillies game with my husband and get the things done on my list because it was little things like host to post asks, ask 10 people into the business. Like, it's not super time consuming things, because they're things that I know that I can mindlessly sit and do them while I'm on the couch watching TV. So whatever list that you want to use, all I recommend is that you just decide to stick to it the best that you can. And if it's nighttime and you're ready to go to bed and you look at your list and there's still 3 or 4 things on there that you haven't checked off, don't go to bed yet. Tell your spouse or yourself or whatever you need to do, like, hey, I need half an hour. I've got 5 more host to post I have to get up for the day. You're going to feel so much better the next morning when you go to do your list again, when you checked off everything the day before.
I love it. Well, and like you said, not everybody is going to have the same thing that works for them in your schedule. And so I want you guys to hear that loud and clear. You have to figure out what's going to work best for you. But one question I know that will be asked is, did you ever have a time that you weren't getting host posts up? Because they're, like you said, you had to kind of figure out the thing that worked for you. What do you tell your team when they're like, nobody's commenting on my host post? What kinds of things? How are you navigating around that issue?
So the biggest thing that I come across, especially with my newer distributors, and it's something that I kind of have to humble myself and remember back when this happened to me. I had 300 Facebook friends when I joined this business. No lie, maybe like 5 more than 300. And I had no Instagram, and TikTok did not exist. So I have to constantly remind myself, what did I do in order to grow my network, to find more people to have conversations with? So I always tell them the first thing to do is to go to your friends list and find people that you're close to, whether it's your spouse, relatives, people that you went to high school with, your best friend, and go to their social media platforms and start adding mutual friends from there. My husband and I did not go to the same school. We grew up 30 minutes apart. So you best believe the first person that I went and added people from was him. And I actually signed one of my double diamonds on my team who's going triple from doing this exact method. I went and I added every single female that he was friends with on Facebook. 90% of them he dated. I didn't care if they were going to join the business and make me money. It's a win for me. So I went through and added all of them. And then I went to like my best friend and I added some of her friends. And then if someone would accept, I would go to their page. And if we had mutual friends, I would add from there. My rule is always to aim for like 5 to 10 mutual friends in common with people, because when you do that, you're not that creepy person that they're like, did you guys ever see the meme? What in the one mutual friend do you want? Okay. So you don't want to be that person. I always go for like 5 or more mutuals, and then they're more likely to accept. And if they go to your page and they see that you're from around the same area, you know a lot of the same people, and you're not a spammy person, keyword spammy person, they're likely to accept your request. And then from there, you add from their friends and their friends and their friends. So that's like tip number one for someone who is struggling. The second tip for you, I don't know if you guys do, I think that you do, I think you're in mine actually, but we do big giveaways on my team. And what I do now is when I find someone with a good network and they have 1,000 or more friends, I have those people share about the giveaway again. And if you find wording that's really good, so let's say Erin, for example, I go to your page and I'm like, oh my gosh, Erin's got this incredible network. I'm going to have her share a giveaway post for me. That way she gets like, and I've had lately like 100, 200 comments on giveaway posts. That way, when I go to her post and I see that she has all these comments, I literally will go to that post. I will go scroll through, and anyone who looks like they're like cute, they're kind of my age, they have a nice profile picture, I will go and I will reply to those people. I will friend request them, and then I'll wait for them to message me to confirm their entry. So I'm not waiting. I'm going out there and I'm finding people. So start with mutual friends. And then secondly, those giveaway posts are really big. And the third one, reels. You guys, reels are so big when it comes to growing your network, and something that you need to remember, be true to you when you're posting your reels. So you don't want to post something that has nothing to do with you, is not your personality, you don't relate to. If you go watch mine, a lot of them are like really cheesy jokes about like my husband or my life, or like I like to drink Truly on the weekend. Like those are my things I post about because that's what I do. So those are the people that I'm trying to connect with. So I try and post more of that stuff.
I love it. I actually ran into at the football fields one of the ladies that was working the concession stand. She goes, I don't know how you're so short because on social media I thought you were 5'10." And I was like, I don't know either because I'm definitely not, but like I'm the same person that you see. And I'm like, that must have been some really good angles on that one particular photo because I'm definitely not 5'10." So I'm not sure what you saw there, but it
Yes.
was
And you guys,
stupid.
people, they want to get to know you. They want to feel like they're connected to you. So we live in a really small town, and my kids, like I said, that my boys are involved in football and lacrosse. So I went to our town's, like our youth football program has a page, like a group page. I went there and I added like half the females, and I go to our lacrosse page and I added like half the females. And when my husband, so he's our head coach for lacrosse for our son, I went and I added all the moms that I could find on Facebook, because you guys, when I go see them then at the games and they come up to me and they're like, you're that girl that skinny coffee. I'm like, heck yeah, I am. And I have a sample in my purse. Like there is no better or easier conversation when you add them, they see your stuff, and then they end up approaching you on the sidelines. So don't underestimate the power of proximity and staying close to where you are.
I love it. I love it. Well, and that's where you get to do, the fun get-togethers and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing like having that, but you're taking advantage of all platforms, in person, but then also online. So one question that I want to ask, because you talked a lot about host to host and things like that. How are you signing distributors? And I know that's probably going to go hand in hand, but will you gear a little bit towards signing distributors?
Yeah, so some of my favorite distributors I've actually signed because they either came off of a host to post, or they posted for me and had a decent amount of comments. So one of my girls, Kayla, she came from a host to post on Instagram. It literally was one of those story opportunity posts, and she's now going diamond this month. So don't underestimate doing those, but you need to do a lot of them. I ask my host to posters into the business if they get a decent amount of comments. There's nothing better than when someone, I'll use my sister-in-law, let's say Hannah put a gummy post up, she got 10 comments. I'm gonna go to Hannah and be like, hey, you literally just did what I do, except I'm getting paid for it. Can I tell you more about making money, making posts like you just did? She says yes. We go into the opportunity. And then guess what? Once Hannah signs, hopefully within 24 to 48 hours of that post, I then get to go back to that post with her, do three-way messages with all the people that commented, get them to sign up, and they are all now her customers. So you're kind of fast tracking them to getting those 4-in-1 bonuses because you're helping them off of the post that they already did. And I've had really successful distributors come in that way because they catch on so quickly. They're like, oh my gosh, I put that post up, I got the comments, you signed the people up. All I have to do is get this person, this person, this person to do the exact same thing. I sign the customers, and it's like you just get the ball rolling right away. The other thing that I do is I always offer the opportunity before people sign up as customers. So that's kind of part of my customer conversation is I throw in there before they sign up a little message, and I can send the wording, but it's along the lines of, and we sell gummies hardcore, my team. So I always say like, hey, for $149 this month, I have a promo where you can get a bottle of gummies, bottle of Thermophyte, the Skinny Brew coffee, the Slimmer, a free milk frother, and a free tumbler. Do you want to upgrade to this package? And like, it just says a little bit about the opportunity. But yeah, it's crazy how people will come in from host to post. And Casey just said her mom host posted for me, and then she told Casey that she needed to sign this business. So it's just crazy how it all connects, but it all leads back to host post.
I love it. And it's really maximizing every single opportunity that you can. So what happens as far as like your onboarding newbie system? Because you're bringing these people in, what are the key things that are you having people immediately start going to host to post? What does that new board or new distributor portion look like? My words are all jacked up tonight.
So my team's gonna laugh because we've changed it like 10 times in the last 6 months. Because I'm super ADD and I'm like, oh, well, this person says this is working and this person says this is working. And like I'm crazy like that. But the few things that I do make sure to do and that I do feel are very important. So we are now getting them to watch the training videos day one. The ones that are in that app, they are incredible, and it literally teaches them everything they need to know about this business. And I will tell you, so last month with the promo, I signed a decent amount of distributors. I had 2 come back to me after watching the videos and say, you know what, I don't think this is for me. And honestly, and they were $24 DTs. So I was like, all right. But I would rather them watch those videos, get through those videos within their first 2 days, come back to me and say, I don't feel that this is for me, than to me spend hours upon hours going through training with them that I could have been spending A, working my own business, or B, coaching other people that did want to work. So training videos first and foremost, and they're not long. It does not take long for them to get through them. So we do that. And then once they do that, we actually go through and do their dirt list together. It's part of one of the videos. So I send them the memory jogger and I send them a little write-up that says like, hey, we're going to do your list. Once you have your list, then we're going to work through messaging. So they do the videos, they do the list, and then I work through the messaging with them. So I encourage them to send me screenshots of their conversations. I really encourage them to get me into messages with these people, because there's nothing like the experience that your enroller is going to have. So even if you're newer and you have someone sign up and you need to get your enroller in there with you as well, that is okay. And I highly doubt that any person on this team is going to be like, no, I can't help you with your new person. So those types of messages, especially when you have them say like, hey, I'm new to this. My upline Erin's going to help me through this conversation. Is that okay with you? And people rarely say no to that. So videos, dirt list. And then once they're comfortable with that messaging, then we do go into host to post, especially because a good thing that you can have them do is if people were not interested in those product reach outs, then you can have them go back and ask them to host to post. So we really just start to get the ball rolling on that.
I love it. Well, and literally how I got started was we had like section videos in eSuite, and it was literally that. And then we had a printer hundreds list, and you printed your memory jogger and started making your list and started reaching out. And so I love that because I think those are like old tools, but things that have always been beneficial. And so it's a good reminder to bring that back out. One other question. So how do you deal with no's, or do you have people on your team that struggle with, I'm getting a lot of no's all the time. Like how are you keeping, I guess it's like a 2-part question. Like, how are you doing that with that? But then also the mentality part. So maybe like a little bit of self-development along with it.
So when I started, no was really hard and I took it really hard, and you have to develop a thick skin over time of doing this. So I was a bartender and a server. I got a thick skin for that. Like when you had just horrible customers and dealing with them, and I was a manager too in a restaurant. So you learn over time how to not react negatively, how to not let it affect you. We used to say, don't take it home with you. So I would usually take it like to heart, like, oh my gosh, like everyone's telling me no today. I can't get a yes to save my life. So first thing that I always tell people is if you feel like you're getting no, 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 no on one platform, switch to another one and switch your view and go try somewhere else. So if Facebook's really getting you down, go over to Instagram and try over there. If you still feel like you're getting no's, then I would do the little game that I do with myself. And for every no that I get, I would go ask 5 more people. And I know that that seems like redundant or crazy, but it is adding new people to your list then. So oftentimes with newer distributors, and I had this today, they will get hung up on the same like 3 potential distributors and the same 10 potential customers. And we really don't want to do that, because if you're stuck on those people and chasing those people, those 10 and those 3 or whatever, you're not spending time finding new people and having new conversations. So I encourage myself every day. I have a goal of 10 new potential customer conversations and 10 new potential distributor conversations. So if I feel like I'm getting no from like all these people from whatever angle I'm going off of, maybe it's reach out messages, maybe it's follow-ups, maybe it's host to post, then I'll go try and do something else so I can find new people to talk to. I love going into my stories and start messaging people that view my stories, or go back a couple months in your inbox and message people from back then, either ask them to host a post or ask them a reach out message like, hey, I've got a couple of spots open this month for my healthy fruit chews. Can I send you over some information? Treat them like a new potential if you haven't talked to them in a few months. But just kind of sticking in the same place over and over where you feel like you're drowning, you're going to continue to drown. If you want to get out of that hole, then you've got to go somewhere else, like basically swim somewhere else. So don't take those no's as you needing to stay stuck there. You need to go find something else to do, and never harp on the same people over and over again. I love having conversations with people. I love following up with people. I love creating relationships with people, but you sometimes get to a point where you can tell that that person's stringing you along and they don't have the money, or they're really just not ready to commit. So why keep chasing them? You're going to spend half an hour chasing the same person when you could spend half an hour finding 10 new people to talk to. So don't stay in the same place with the same people for too long.
I love it. Okay, so do you have any self-development book recommendations or things that have been like your favorites over, it's hard once you've been in for almost 9 years to find something, but
I do. I actually finished this one the other day. So this one's called Good Vibes and Good Life. It's by Vex King. That was the one I just finished. I've shared this in my stories a million times over the past couple of months because I just couldn't read it fast. Like I couldn't, like, I had to keep going back and rereading chapters. It's that good. So Good Vibes, Good Life. And then another one is Created to Dream by Rick Warren. And these are both short reads. Like they're not that long. And the last one, and this one really kind of changed my viewpoint on social media, and don't take this title in a bad way. But it basically taught me, if you're following people that make you feel a certain way about who you are or what you're doing and get you caught in that comparison trap, unfollow them. And I actually had to unfollow some distributors, like some higher up distributors, because I kept comparing myself to them. And I still go look at their stuff to see like what they're doing in their stories, but I couldn't keep watching them every single day because it was putting me in this funk. So this one, the last one's called Who Are You Following? And it's by Sadie Robertson Huff. Who are you following? And it's just really good. It also talks about you should be following Jesus instead of following other people, but it has a really good message behind it as far as social media goes.
okay, sorry, I was just typing that last one. And I might have said Robertson wrong. I don't remember. Okay, so one last question that I always end with, and if anybody has anything that we didn't touch on, please put it in there. But if you could go back and look at your whole journey and different things, if there's one piece of advice you could give yourself, or one thing you would change, or that one thing that you're like, gosh, I wish I would have known this, what would that thing be for you?
I think this changes all the time for me. I used to say that I would tell myself to work harder, but now that I'm really in it and in the season that I'm in right now, because guys, being transparent, I just went through burnout big time, probably the last 90 days. And I really struggled with who I was, what I was doing here, how I wanted to continue to work my business. I just got in this hole, and I think it's because of kids being home for the summertime, schedule changes, trying to work harder than I could because of my schedule with my kids. But I've learned that we really just need to know when it's time to take a break and when it's time to focus on our business. So I shared this the other day, but it's really important to be where your feet are. So if you are spending time working, like it's your work time, then you need to be working. If it is time for you to be a mom, then you need to be a mom. If it is time for you to be a wife, then you need to be a wife. But that's really important when it comes to knowing your daily schedule, when you need to be doing certain things. So that's why I do follow the shift list, because I know morning time, it's my time to get my work done. And then when my kids are waking up, my husband is up, it's my time to be a mom and a wife. And then when my kids are at school, it's time for me to work again. They come home from school, mom and wife. Same thing in the evening. It's a little bit longer of a gap between the time they come home from school to the time that I do my evening list, because they come home from school, we have sports, we have dinner, we have all those things, bath time, bedtime. So truly be where your feet are. If it's time for you to be a mom, be a mom. If it's time for you to work, work. But when you are working, be so intentional that when you do make that switch back to being a mom and a wife, you're not feeling guilty because you didn't do enough work, right? And when you are doing your work, make sure that you're super intentional as a mom. So that way, when you're working, you're not feeling guilty. So just be where you need to be at the time you need to be there.
I love it. Okay, so going back through the chat, one last question was somebody wanted to know, how long did it take you to make like a consistent, steady income?
So like I said, it took me I went Ruby in 3 months. I went Emerald in 5. I sat at Emerald for almost 2 years until I promoted to Diamond and Double. I actually fell from Emerald back to Executive before Mark. We watched Conference from Home. It was the double good bonuses were just announced, and I wish I had his speech, but there was something in that just lit a fire in me. And I looked at my now triple going prize, Caitlin, and I was like, listen, like it's time to get over ourselves. It's time to run. So that time in 2017, she promoted to Emerald, I promoted to Diamond that conference month. And then we went Diamond and Double the month after. And that from that point on, when I was Double is when I quit my job as a restaurant manager, actually stopped going to work. Don't do that, but I did. And from that point on is when I was at a point where it's been consistent and steady for us. We didn't bring my husband home until 2021. So that's about 6 years in the business. But something that I would always tell people is be really in tune with your finances. Don't spend more than you need to be spending. It is so much more fun for your savings account to grow than it is for the money going out the window. So just be sure that when you make that decision that, hey, like I can cut back my hours, or I can do this, or I can do that, be at the rank or position that you're at for at least 6 months before you make that decision. So don't go, oh my gosh, I want Diamond, I can quit my job. No, make sure that you're consistent and steady, and things with your business are propelling forward before you make those decisions. But since Double Diamond, I've truly felt like this is something for us, and it's continued to be that.
Okay, one last question just popped up. It says, what would you say to someone who needs to pivot? Where would you focus first?
Well, I would definitely ask what you feel isn't going right for you in your business. So do you feel like your enrollments are not coming in? Do you feel like you don't have enough time to spend on your business? Do you feel like you're not getting host to post up? So it really depends on what you feel like you need to pivot away from. For me, the biggest thing that I always come back to when things are not going right for me is number one, how consistent have you been in the last 2 weeks? Because if you took days off, if you took a lot of time off, if you didn't get your task list done on a consistent basis, if you spent more time scrolling your social media than you spent working your inbox, that's where I would start with first. Like I took this weekend off because I was like, you know what? I need a break. I need to reset. I need to refocus. And I was getting down on myself today because the enrollments weren't coming in, the people weren't coming in. And then I had to reflect and go, hey, like you didn't work very much this weekend. So you weren't having a whole lot of conversations. So now that the enrollments aren't coming in, that's why. So get whatever task list it is that you need to get, and tell yourself, okay, today is day one. I'm starting here and I'm going to keep working through this. And you need to have grace and remember it's going to take you a couple of weeks of being consistent before things are really going to fall into place for you. And that's for anybody. Like if I go on a vacation for a week and I don't work as much, I come back, I know it's a good 2 weeks before things really start to flow again. So pivot as far as decide what it is that isn't working and what you want to work, and then what you need to get there. So like, here's where you are, here's where you want to be. You got to find that roadmap to get you in between.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking time out of your night. I know that I had a lot of great reminders and good info and some side texts that people are just really happy that you were on. So I appreciate you. Y'all, we will see you next Monday night. And again, if you want to send me some of that stuff, I know that you mentioned, I will get it in our team page and everything, but y'all go shout out Samantha. She was amazing. And we just appreciate you for taking time out. I
Absolutely.
can't say go Phillies because we're rooting for the Astros over here, but you can go back to watching
Oh,
it.
they lost tonight, so now we're tied.
I haven't caught up on all the scores, so who knows? All right, y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all
Thank
later.
you.